I'm Marshall Shannon with Ministry Design Concepts. Welcome to our webinar today on Effectual Strategic Planning. Let me ask you a question. How do you know if you should pursue strategic planning for your ministry? Well, let me ask you, does your church have a strategic plan that you can articulate? Can your people articulate that plan? Are your people aware of it? Do they know what role they play in the strategy? Has your strategic plan been used for longer than a decade and it now needs to be reviewed, perhaps redesigned, renovated, repaired, replaced in some way to address how your ministry design is set up? Well, let me ask you another question to help you determine if you need to pursue strategic planning. What is driving your church? Is your church driven by God's direction, His vision for your ministry, or is something else or someone else driving your church? Is it tradition, history, routine? Do you have a power struggle or control issues in your church? You can address those things through a ministry design process. Here's another question. Does your church seem to waste a lot of time, energy, and resources, but you don't have anything to show for it? Your church calendar is chock full of activities and events, and yet when you stop and measure it, the impact for eternity on your community and on your church seems to be little or really no results. Then you need to consider taking the journey of strategic planning. There are 4 phases that we've broken the ministry design process into. We've talked about the discovery of your core values, defining your mission, and discerning God's vision for your ministry so that you have built a solid foundation upon which to base your strategic plan. Preparation and planning, why is it important? What's the power of it? Proper preparation, planning, and processes prevent poor performance. So as you go through this continuing education and you're looking at the ministry design process concerning strategic planning, give thought, take notes, ask questions, discuss it among your other leaders and your fellow pastors to see what you need to do in order to move forward. I want to give to you today 7 key benefits of strategic planning. The first one is that strategic planning puts the church in a proactive mode versus a reactive mode. Many churches get caught up in the hold the fort mentality. The marching orders given to the church by God are not passive orders. The church is to be on the offensive, not the defensive, but much of the time our churches are playing defense, and thus 85% of our churches in North America are either plateaued in their growth cycle or in decline. And we're closing 4,000 churches a year, and we probably have another 25,000 or maybe 50,000 that are on life support. They're not dead yet, but they're just, someone is ready to pull the plug on it, it'll die. That you can't be self-sustained. It's not a growing organism. The church is to be on the offensive, not the defensive. Strategic planning helps establish the mindset that the church is proactive in its mission and not simply reactive to its environment. It forces our church to think about what can be done rather than what cannot be done. Churches can become so busy just going through the motions that they forget why they are doing what they are doing. One of the benefits of strategic planning is it will put you into a attack mode, a proactive mode, as opposed to a reactive mode. It will start to move you forward to attack the forces of darkness and to reach the people that God has called you and equipped you and sent you to reach with the gospel. Here's the second benefit. It builds alignment and attunement. Strategic planning forces churches to focus on biblical issues of purpose and strategy. Church members need to come to agreement on the purpose of the church, and then you'll have alignment. And then when they commit to it and take ownership, you'll have attunement. So both the programs are in alignment and the people are in agreement, in attunement, in their heart. They're committed to how and what and when and where and who and why the church is carrying out its mission. It's why we tell you to build your strategic plan based on properly designed core values, identify what they are, a well-defined mission, and discern very clearly, with clarity, what your vision is, God's vision is for your ministry. One of the strong benefits of strategic planning is that it will build alignment of your people and ministries and your people's attunement so that everything is in alignment program-wise and in attunement, agreement-wise with the heart. Here's the third benefit of strategic planning. It encourages biblical stewardship. Strategic planning allows for good stewardship. With your priorities established, your church can determine where it is to focus, to invest your God-given resources. How do you best use the gifts and energies and resources of your congregation? How do you make the best use of the financial resources of your congregation? Matter of fact, strategic planning will encourage biblical stewardship where you can build a culture of generosity and a game plan to sustain your ministry for years to come. What does strategic planning do? It allows for good biblical stewardship. What is the best use of your physical space? All of us have property, either rented, borrowed, or bought, that we are using to further the cause of Christ. And good stewardship would allow us to use our ministry space in a way that honors God and is effective. Here's the next one, the fourth one. Strategic planning builds a sieve. A church does not need to try to do anything and everything that maybe they could do or that is presented to them by the congregation or someone in the community. The particulars of what a church should do would be different from church to church. Churches are great at adding layer upon layer of programs and activities and events without evaluating the effects they might have on other programs and activities. In my new ministry development webinar, we talk about how to build a sieve and what the purpose of it is. But in strategic planning, it allows a church to simply say one word, no. If you have a plan, then you can measure everything and every opportunity that you have in the community and in your church against that strategic plan as to its values, mission, and vision, so that you can build a tool that allows you to sieve, to strain, to take and shake the opportunity in your sieve, your ministry sieve, to determine what falls out, what is God's will and what is not. If it's not in alignment and in attunement with your values, mission, and vision, then you don't carry it out. Your strategic plan allows you to say no all during the year. Churches with full calendars of unproductive activities are all too common, and we need to begin building a ministry sieve that will let us do the right things, not just good things, not just better things, but the best things. And so our church only has so much time, talent, and treasure, and we need to invest them correctly to carry out God's will. So you need to be discerning. What is God's mind on every matter? And you can build a mechanical sieve to help guide you through the steps of discerning God's mind on every opportunity that comes your way as a church. Here is another benefit. Strategic planning builds a tool to help you measure, evaluate the effectiveness of your different ministries in your church. What is defined as effective in one church may be defined as effective differently in another church. So you've got to build your own customized, individualized tool to help you measure and evaluate how well the different ministries in your church are doing. A strategic plan provides a base by which a church can measure its progress. As a church implements, as you execute the plan that you have put together, your membership, your congregation can gain a sense of progress so that they sense we're going somewhere, where I can see the destination in sight. I can see God's vision for our work, and I know we're making progress toward it. Your congregation can more easily see the progress leading to increased buy-in and enthusiasm. It will energize and excite your church leadership team and your congregation and your ministry teams when they can see that you're making progress. When members see progress, they have a more positive image of who your church is, and they're more likely to involve themselves in it. If you've not read the book, The Other 80%, Warren Bird and one other gentleman wrote this book some time ago, but it deals with the fact that 80% of the work of a ministry is done by 20% of the congregation, and they give steps for fixing that. Well, one of the steps to fixing the 20% problem is to have and take the benefit of a strategic plan and build a tool that is customized and individualized for your ministry to help you evaluate the effectiveness of how you're doing everything. The sixth benefit is that strategic planning provides a mirror. A mirror ought to reveal blemishes, weaknesses, something that's out of order. And when we look in the mirror, we straighten and comb our hair. If you're a lady, you're putting on makeup and you're trying to make certain everything is done right. It helps you pick anything out of your teeth or perhaps straighten your shirt or your tie. You get the point. A mirror reflects what is honestly there. And a strategic plan, one of the key benefits to it, is that it can serve to reveal the strengths and weaknesses of your strategic plan. If a church never stops to evaluate through the process of strategic planning, it may never fully recognize its own strengths and weaknesses. Build a mirror that you can judge and evaluate the processes that you're putting in place, the systems, the programs, the personnel, the people that you're going to minister to make certain that you can judge whether it is in its design good or bad, weak or strong. The process of strategic planning acts as a mirror held up to the church to allow the leadership team to see where it can improve. Without the discipline of this exercise, a congregation might well continue to stay in a rut of repeating the same mistakes over and over again. It allows the church to have a better idea of what it does well and where it needs to improve, but where you can celebrate your success and repair or replace the areas where you're failing. Here's the seventh benefit of strategic planning. It will help you navigate change. One of the key problems that we're having in the churches in North America is the fact that our congregations, by nature, do not respond well to change. It has been said that there are 5 groups who respond to change, 5 levels. The first level of response to change is instant. They are the people who you thought that you ought to change, and they're right with you. The second group is the early adapters. They're going to adapt to the change, not instantly, but early in the process. Then you've got the regular ones that are in the middle. They're going to come along behind the early adapters, and they are going to be convinced, but they need more time, and they're kind of in the middle. That's where the largest percentage of your congregation is in that normal part. They're in the middle. Then you have late adapters who need strong convincing. And then the fifth party are the never adapters, and they're just not going to accept change. You've got to navigate the groups and how they respond to change. And strategic planning is built in its very processes to help you and help your congregation embrace change. Change is inevitable. Change happens to churches. And we act like and hope that it's not going to happen, but it does. Congregations are constantly changing. New people coming in, old people going out. New people become a part of your church as other members leave. At least you're hoping that it happens. And the community context of a church changes over time. Leadership also changes. Change is just a part of spiritual growth. It's a part of life in the secular world and the sacred world. The one thing that is certain about any church is that it will change, and your environment is going to change. Strategic planning permits your congregation to determine what it will change and what it will not change. Your vision and values and mission won't change, but your methods and strategies can change, and strategic planning can help you navigate as the leaders change that needs to happen. Well, I'm Marshall Shannon, Ministry Design Coach with Ministry Design Training and Ministry Design Concepts. You can reach me at this email address or either one of these two cell phone numbers or office numbers, and be happy to help you with your ministry as you navigate change through your strategic plan.